I thought I knew what heartbreak looked like. Turns out it looks like your wife standing in your living room, arms crossed, telling you she is leaving. But here is the thing nobody tells you about that moment. Sometimes you do not feel shattered. Sometimes you feel free. I remember Melissa's voice, cold and sharp, cutting through the silence. My eyes drifted past her to Sophie, her stepsister, standing by the kitchen counter with wide, sympathetic eyes. And in that split second I realized something. 5 years ago I thought Melissa was my forever. I was wrong about her, but I was right about one thing. Love was waiting in that house. Just not where I expected. Before I tell you how one sentence ended my marriage but started my real life, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story proves that sometimes the worst thing someone says to you becomes the best thing that ever happened. Now let me take you back to where it all began. 7 years ago, I met Melissa at an art gallery opening in downtown Chicago. I was there with a college buddy who dragged me along, promising free wine and interesting people. He was right about both. Melissa stood near a sculpture made of twisted metal and glass, wearing a black dress that hugged her figure perfectly. She was confident, magnetic, the kind of woman who made everyone in the room aware of her presence. We started talking about the exhibit then, about everything else. Art traveled dreams. She worked in marketing for a boutique advertising firm. I was a software engineer at a tech startup pulling in around $85,000 a year. Decent money, stable life, nothing flashy. We dated for 2 years before I proposed at a small cafe where we had our first real date. She cried, said yes. And I felt like the luckiest man alive. We got married when I was 28 and she was 26. The wedding was beautiful. Small, intimate, just family and close friends. The first year of marriage felt like a dream. We would take weekend trips to Michigan, rent a cabin by the lake, cook elaborate meals together, even though neither of us was particularly good at it. We laughed a lot. We talked about having kids someday, buying a bigger house, growing old together. All the things people say when they believe forever is real. That is when Sophie came into the picture more regularly. She was Melissa's stepsister, 3 years younger, the daughter of Melissa's stepfather from his first marriage. Sophie was different from Melissa in almost every way. Quieter, more thoughtful, with this calm presence that put people at ease. She was finishing her senior year at Northwestern, studying graphic design. Melissa and Sophie were not super close growing up, but they got along well enough. Family dinners, holidays, that sort of thing. Sophie would come over to our place maybe once or twice a month. We would order Thai food, watch movies, talk about her projects. I liked her. She had this way of listening, really listening, that made you feel heard. I saw her as a younger sister, someone I wanted to protect and encourage. Nothing more. Then, about a year before everything fell apart, Melissa got promoted. It was a big deal. She became a senior project manager, handling major accounts, working with high-profile clients. I was proud of her. I took her out to celebrate at this fancy Italian restaurant she loved. She seemed happy that night, excited about the future. But something changed after that. Slowly at first, then all at once. She started coming home late. 10-11 at night. Sometimes past midnight. Always the same excuse. Meeting with a client, networking event, last-minute presentation prep. I wanted to believe her. I did believe her, at least in the beginning. She was ambitious-driven. That is one of the things I loved about her. But then came the other changes. She stopped asking about my day. Stopped caring, really. We used to sit on the couch after dinner talking about work, friends, random thoughts. That stopped. Now she would come home, go straight to the bedroom, scroll through her phone for hours. When I tried to talk to her, she would give one-word answers or say she was too tired. Our physical connection disappeared too. We went from making love a few times a week to maybe once a month, if that. And even then, it felt mechanical, like she was just going through the motions. When I tried to initiate, she would push me away gently, always with an excuse. Headache, exhausted, not in the mood. Her phone became an extension of her hand. She took it everywhere. SeeMyLicely.com. Bathroom, kitchen, even kept it face down on the nightstand when she slept. If I walked into the room while she was texting, she would close the app immediately, too quickly to be casual. I started noticing she dressed differently for work too. Lower necklines, tighter skirts, more makeup. She said it was professional, that she needed to look the part for client meetings. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was seeing things that were not there. But my gut told me otherwise. One night I tried to talk to her about it. We were in the kitchen. She was making herself a salad, standing at the counter with her back to me. I asked if everything was okay. If we were okay. She turned around and the look on her face was pure annoyance. "You are being paranoid," she said. "I am just busy with work. Why do you have to make everything about you?" I felt like I had been slapped. I was not making it about me. I was trying to save us. But she flipped the script, made me feel guilty for even asking. So I backed off, gave her space. Told myself things would get better once her workload lightened up, except it never did. Sophie came over one evening around that time. Melissa was out at another late meeting. Sophie and I ordered pizza, sat on the couch watching some documentary about street art. Halfway through, she muted the TV and looked at me with this concerned expression. "Is everything okay with you and Melissa?" she asked. I tried to brush it off, said we were fine, just dealing with work stress. Sophie did not look convinced. She tilted her head slightly, studying my face the way an artist studies a canvas. "You know you can talk to me, right?" she said. "About anything." I nodded, thanked her, but I did not open up. Not then. I was still hoping I was wrong about everything. 3 months before the end, I found the first real evidence. It was a Saturday morning. Melissa had gone to her yoga class, or so she said. She left her phone on the kitchen table, which was unusual. It started buzzing repeatedly. I glanced over and saw the notification preview light up the screen. A text from someone saved as just the letter D. The message read, "Cannot wait to see you tonight. Last week was amazing." My stomach dropped. I stood there staring at that phone like it was a bomb about to go off. I did not pick it up, did not unlock it, but I did not need to. That message told me everything. When Melissa came back an hour later, I was still in the kitchen, drinking coffee, trying to keep my hands from shaking. I asked her casually as I could manage who D was. She froze for a fraction of a second, then her face hardened. "Are you checking my phone now?" she snapped. "That is a client. His name is David. And you are being incredibly insecure right now." She turned it around on me, made me the villain for even asking. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. But clients do not send texts like that. I knew it. She knew I knew it. But I let it go because I was not ready to face what it meant. After that day, Melissa became more aggressive in her criticisms of me. Little digs that grew into bigger attacks. "You are too comfortable," she would say. "No ambition. We never do anything exciting anymore." I would suggest things. Weekend trips, concerts, trying that new restaurant downtown. She shot down every idea. Too tired, too busy, not interested. But then, she would complain that I did not plan anything. It was a no-win situation. She started comparing me to other people too. Her friends' husbands who made 6 figures, who took their wives on European vacations, who drove luxury cars. "What about you?" she would ask her, tone dripping with disappointment. I tried harder. I cooked her favorite meals, planned surprise date nights, bought her small gifts just because. She barely acknowledged any of it. Some nights she would sleep on the couch, claiming she did not want to wake me when she came home late. But I knew the truth. She did not want to be near me. I was becoming invisible in my own marriage, a ghost haunting rooms that used to feel like home. The worst part was not the rejection. It was the realization that the woman I married, the woman I loved, had become someone I did not recognize. Someone who looked at me with contempt instead of affection. Then Sophie saw them. It was a Thursday afternoon in early autumn. She had gotten out of class early and decided to walk through downtown, maybe grab coffee before heading home. That is when she spotted Melissa coming out of the Rosewood Hotel. It is one of those upscale boutique places with a discreet entrance, the kind of hotel you do not just stumble into. And Melissa was not alone. Next to her was a man in an expensive suit, probably in his early 40s, with silver streaks in his dark hair. They stood on the sidewalk talking. and Sophie watched as he touched Melissa's waist, his hand lingering there. Melissa did not pull away. She leaned into him, laughing at something he said. Sophie stood frozen across the street, half hidden behind a streetlight. Her heart pounded in her chest. She wanted to be wrong. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe he really was just a client. But the way they looked at each other, the ease of his touch, the smile on Melissa's face. Sophie knew. She spent the next 2 weeks in agony, debating whether to tell me. What if she was wrong? What if it destroyed everything? What if I did not believe her, but the guilt ate at her? She thought about how kind I had been to her, how I had always treated her like family, never made her feel like an outsider. I deserved to know the truth. One Friday night, Melissa was out of town on a supposed business trip. Sophie texted me asking if she could come over. She said she needed to talk. When she arrived, I could tell something was wrong. Her usual calm demeanor was replaced with nervous energy. We sat in the living room, and she struggled to find the words. Finally, she just said it. She told me what she saw. The hotel. The man. The way he touched Melissa. The way Melissa smiled. She apologized over and over, tears welling in her eyes, saying she did not want to hurt me, but I needed to know. I sat there listening, my jaw clenched so tight it ached. Part of me wanted to deny it, to defend Melissa, to say Sophie misunderstood. But I could not, because deep down I already knew. This was just confirmation. When Sophie finished talking, I thanked her. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. She reached over and put her hand on my shoulder, a simple gesture of comfort. We sat in silence for a long time. I was not crying. I was not angry. I just felt empty. Like someone had scooped out my insides and left nothing but a shell. After Sophie left that night, I did not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the last year. All the signs I had ignored, all the excuses I had made for her. By morning, I had made a decision. I was not going to fall apart. I was not going to beg. I was going to handle this the right way. The next Monday, I called a lawyer. An old friend from college who had gone into family law. We met at a coffee shop far from my neighborhood where no one would recognize us. I told him everything. The late nights, the texts, Sophie's account of the hotel. He listened carefully, taking notes. Then he explained my options. In our state, adultery could impact the division of assets, especially since we had signed a prenup with a fidelity clause. If I could prove Melissa cheated, she would walk away with almost nothing. But I needed evidence. Solid, undeniable proof. That is when I hired a private investigator. Not some random guy from the internet, but someone I trusted. A former police detective named Marcus, who owed me a favor from years back. I gave him everything I knew. Melissa's schedule. The name of the hotel. The timeline. He got to work immediately. For 2 weeks he followed her. And sure enough, every Tuesday and Thursday evening, Melissa would meet the same man at the Rosewood Hotel. Suite 207. They would arrive separately, stay for 2 to 3 hours, then leave. Marcus got photos. Clear time. Stamped undeniable. Melissa walking into the hotel. The man whose name turned out to be Douglas, a CEO of a mid-sized marketing firm. Them leaving together, his hand on her lower back. While Marcus worked, I quietly began separating our finances. I opened a new bank account and redirected my paycheck there. I moved important documents, tax returns, property deeds, into a safe deposit box. I was meticulous, careful, making sure every step was legal and documented. Melissa noticed nothing. She was too distracted, too comfortable in her deception. During those 2 weeks, something unexpected happened. Sophie and I started talking more. She would text me in the evenings, just checking in, asking how I was holding up. We would talk about everything except Melissa. Movies, music, her design projects, my work. It was easy, natural. I found myself looking forward to her messages, to her voice. One night she came over with takeout. We ate on the couch, watching some old comedy neither of us had seen. Halfway through, she looked at me and said, You are going to be okay, you know. You are stronger than you think. I wanted to believe her. Sitting there next to Sophie, I felt something shift. Not love, not yet. But the possibility of it. A warmth I had not felt in months. We did not talk about it. Did not acknowledge it. But it was there, quiet and undeniable. By the third week, I had everything I needed. The photos, the lawyer, the financial separation. And then Melissa did something I did not expect. She suggested a family dinner. It was a Saturday afternoon when she brought it up casual as anything. Let's have Sophie over for dinner tomorrow, she said. It has been a while. I agreed, curious about what she was planning. Later, I texted Sophie to warn her, to let her know something might go down. She said she would be there, that she had my back. That Sunday evening, Sophie arrived at 6:30. She brought a bottle of wine and a nervous smile. Melissa had cooked, which was rare. Chicken, roasted vegetables, some fancy salad. We sat at the dining table, the three of us, and it felt surreal. Melissa was playing the perfect hostess, smiling, asking Sophie about school, complimenting her outfit. But there was something off. A tension beneath the surface. I caught Sophie's eye across the table. She felt it too. After dinner, Melissa poured herself more wine and leaned back in her chair. The smile faded from her face, replaced by something colder, more calculated. I have something to say. She began, her voice measured. I have been thinking a lot lately. About us. About this marriage. She paused, letting the words hang in the air. Jeremy, you are a good guy. You really are. But you are not enough for me. I need someone who challenges me. Someone with real ambition. Someone who matches my energy. So I am leaving you. She said it like she was announcing a business decision. No emotion, no regret. Just cold, hard fact. She expected me to crumble. To beg her to stay, to promise I would change, to fall apart right there at the table. I saw it in her eyes, that expectation. But I did not give her the satisfaction. Instead, I stood up slowly, calmly. I looked at her and nodded. You are right, I said. This marriage is not working. Her face flickered with surprise, just for a second. She had not expected agreement. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded envelope. I placed it on the table in front of her. I have known about Douglas for 3 weeks. I said, my voice steady. The Rosewood Hotel, Suite 207. Every Tuesday and Thursday. The color drained from Melissa's face. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. These are divorce papers, I continued. Already filed. And because of the adultery clause in our prenup, you are getting nothing. Not this house. Not our savings. Nothing. Melissa's hands shook as she reached for the envelope. She pulled out the papers, scanned them, her eyes growing wider with each line. You had me followed, she whispered, her voice cracking. I had you exposed, I corrected. There is a difference. Then I turned to Sophie. You ready to go? Sophie stood up immediately. She looked at Melissa, and I saw something in her expression. Disappointment, sadness, but also resolve. I told you last Christmas, Sophie said quietly, that Jeremy was the best thing that ever happened to you. But you never listened, Melissa. You never have. We walked toward the door. Behind us, I heard Melissa's chair scrape against the floor. Wait, she called out, her voice rising in panic. We can talk about this. It was a mistake. I can explain. I stopped at the door, my hand on the knob. I did not turn around. The only mistake was mine, I said. I stayed too long with someone who did not value me. Then I reached out and took Sophie's hand. Her fingers intertwined with mine, warm and steady. Let's go, I said. We walked out into the cool evening air, leaving Melissa standing in the doorway, her perfect composure finally shattered. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. It moved faster than I expected, mostly because Melissa did not have a leg to stand on. The photos, the evidence, the prenup. It was all airtight. I kept the house which I had bought and fully paid off before we got married. I kept the savings. Melissa left with her personal belongings and nothing else. As for Douglas, he disappeared the moment word of the affair got out. He was married, it turned out, with 2 kids. The last thing he wanted was a scandal that could damage his reputation or his business. So he cut ties with Melissa, completely blocked her number, refused her calls. She was left with nothing. No husband, no lover, no money, nowhere to go. She tried to reach out to me multiple times in those first few weeks. Phone calls, text messages, even showing up at my office once. Each time, the message was the same. I made a mistake. Can we try again? I will change. I promise. I blocked her number. Ignored the texts. And when she showed up at my workplace, I had security escort her out. I was done. There was no going back, no second chances. She made her choice, and now she had to live with it. One afternoon, about 3 months after the divorce, I ran into her on the street downtown. She looked different. Tired. Her hair was not styled the way it used to be, her clothes less polished. She saw me, and her face lit up with desperate hope. "Jeremy, please," she said, stepping toward me. "Just give me 5 minutes." I stopped not because I wanted to talk, but because I wanted to make something clear. "You did not make a mistake, Melissa," I said, keeping my voice calm. "You made a choice, a series of choices, actually. And those choices have consequences. Now you have to live with them." Her eyes filled with tears. "I loved you," she whispered. "No," I replied. "You loved the idea of me, the stability, the safety, the support. But you did not love me. If you did, you would not have done what you did." I walked past her, and I did not look back. Sophie and I did not rush into anything. Those first 2 months after I left Melissa, we took things slow. We were friends, first supporting each other through difficult times. She was dealing with the fallout from her family, the awkwardness of holidays and gatherings where Melissa's betrayal hung in the air. I was processing the end of my marriage, untangling my emotions, learning how to be alone again. But somewhere in those quiet evenings, those long conversations, those shared laughs, something shifted. It was not dramatic. There was no grand confession. It just happened naturally, like the most obvious thing in the world. We went on our first official date about 3 months after the divorce. Nothing fancy, just dinner at a small Italian place and a walk along the lakefront. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. By the end of the night, standing under a street lamp with the city lights reflecting off the water, I kissed her. And it felt right. Not like a rebound, not like a mistake, just right. Sophie graduated a few months later with honors. She got a job at a well-respected design studio in the city. 6 months after that, she moved in with me. Our life together was everything my marriage was not. Peaceful, honest. Built on mutual respect and genuine affection. We cooked dinner together most nights, trying new recipes, and laughing when they did not turn out right. We watched movies curled up on the couch, went on weekend hikes, spent Sunday mornings reading in comfortable silence. There was no drama, no games, no second guessing. Just 2 people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Sophie brought a lightness to my life that I did not know I was missing. She challenged me in good ways, encouraged my interests, supported my goals. And I did the same for her. We were partners, true partners in every sense of the word. As for Melissa, I heard bits and pieces through mutual acquaintances. She lost her job after the affair became public knowledge. Turns out Douglas was a client of her firm and her bosses were not pleased about the unprofessionalism. She moved back in with her mother, who was furious and disappointed. Melissa tried dating again, but nothing stuck. From what I heard, she was still looking for that next big thing, that person who could give her the excitement she craved. I did not feel satisfaction hearing about her struggles. Mostly, I felt nothing. Maybe a little bit of pity. She destroyed something good because she thought there was something better out there. And in the end, she was left with nothing. Sophie's mother, Melissa's stepmother, reached out to me once. She apologized for what Melissa had done, said she raised her better than that. I told her it was not her fault that Melissa was an adult who made her own choices. She asked if I was happy with Sophie. I told her I was. Happier than I have been in years, I said. She cried a little on the phone, said she was glad something good came out of all the pain. Sophie still talks to her mother regularly, but she does not ask about Melissa. That chapter is closed for both of us. About a year and a half after everything happened, Sophie and I were sitting on the back porch of our house. It was late spring, the air warm, the trees full and green. We were drinking iced tea, her hand in mine, just enjoying the quiet. I found myself thinking about how different my life was now, compared to what it had been. How much lighter I felt. How much more myself. I turned to Sophie, and she was already looking at me, that gentle smile on her face. What, she asked. I just shook my head. Nothing. Everything. I am just glad you are here. She squeezed my hand. Me too, she said. Then she added, you know, if Melissa had not said those words that night, we might not be here right now. I thought about that. She was right. If Melissa had not pushed me away, I might have stayed. I might have kept trying to fix something that was already broken. I might have never realized that the person I was supposed to be with was right there all along, quiet and patient, waiting for me to see her. In a weird way, I said I should thank her. Sophie laughed. Let's not go that far. But the truth is, Melissa's betrayal did not destroy me. It freed me. It cleared the path for something real. Something lasting. I do not hate her anymore. I do not think about her much at all. She is just a chapter in my past, a lesson learned. I learned that love should not make you feel small. It should not require you to dim your light or question your worth. Real love lifts you up, makes you better, makes you feel seen, and that is what I found with Sophie. Not by looking for it, but by being open to it when it appeared. Sometimes the person who breaks your heart is just clearing the path for the person who was meant to heal it. I thought I lost everything that night when Melissa said she was leaving. Turns out I just lost the wrong person, and that made all the difference. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone walk out of your life and realize later it was the best thing that could have happened? Drop your story in the comments below. I would love to hear it. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Life has a funny way of working out when you stop holding on to what is hurting you. Thank you for listening. I hope your journey, whatever it looks like, leads you to the person and the peace you deserve. Until next time, take care of yourself.